What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having an excellent day. Now, I don't think anyone is gonna argue with me when I say that it's about gosh darn time that old Red here took a trip to the quarter mile. Am I right? I mean, this thing's been together for like 3 years and I haven't even brought it a single time. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the things I have to do to rush to get this car ready for the event, which is this Saturday, 6 days away, and talk about a couple little setup changes I'm making, as well as why the quarter mile test is so important to me. You guys are watching Car Passion. My name's Greg Peters, and I just did my own intro backwards. Now, I want to say right up front, I did not build this car to run in the quarter mile. I built it to be fast spooling, good handling, broad power band, just a fun street car. So why am I so concerned with the quarter mile? Okay, so you have three main metrics on a time slip that kind of read out different things. You have the 60 foot, that's all about your launch. You can have a relatively low powered car that runs a really fast 60 foot, if it gets out of the hole very fast. The ET, or the elapsed time, that's a combination of how well the car can launch and how much power it has. And then you have the trap speed. Now, trap speed is a product of how much power your car has. You can launch a car relatively soft and still run a very high mile per hour if the car has a lot of power. Now, there are two main Miatas here on YouTube that I'm concerned with competing with. Chris Rodnock, and he made 430 horsepower at the wheels on a Mustang dyno, and he ran multiple 127 mile per hour passes in the quarter. That thing is fast. I just recently saw that Gingium did go to the quarter mile, but he was having some shifting issues and he broke his diff, so probably not a good representation of how fast that car actually is. But Gingium, when you get your car back up and ripping, you better be giving it a full rip because old Red's coming for you. But he did make 388 wheel horsepower on a Dynocom dyno. Now, I'm not really familiar with Dynocoms. I don't know if they read high or low, whatever. But like I was saying, quarter mile trap speed is the true indicator of how fast your car is. Now, the Red Beast, it made 420 wheel horsepower on a dyno jet. So you have three cars that are all roughly in the 400 wheel horsepower range. And I'm hoping that VVT Beast is going to come out on top. I don't know if it's going to crown Rudnick's 127 mile per hour pass. I'm hoping to get into the 125s. I don't know if it's going to be quite that fast. Now, I'll be the first to admit it's not a 10-second car the way it sits right now, primarily due to the tire setup. If I was running something closer to what Chris was using, maybe it's a 10-second car, but I'm certainly not going to claim that until I'm actually holding that 10-second slip. I think as it sits right now, it hopefully could do like a high 11. But like I said, I am shooting for that mile per hour because that is the true indicator of how much power your car makes. I'm going to the quarter mile this weekend. It's only 6 days away and I have to rush to get the car ready. I'm hoping that my car can get into the 125 mile per hour range. I don't know if it's going to get quite that high, but I'm hopeful. So that's kind of my goal. And I'll be the first to tell you that this car against Rodnock's, it would not keep up with it in a quarter mile. It is not a 10-second car the way it sits right now, primarily due to the tires. Now, if I had a more drag-specific setup, something closer to what Chris was running, maybe it could be a 10-second car. I'm not going to say that until I'm actually holding the 10-second slip. I think it's like high 11 capable, but what I'm mostly concerned with is the trap speed. And I really just want to take this thing out and shake it down and see what it does. So I got quite a few things to do on the car. The rear tires, actually, you know what? Let's just head out there and I'm gonna show you some stuff. The number one thing I'm looking at right here is these super bald tires. I ordered tires last week, last minute Lucy as usual. Hopefully they come in time, but worst case scenario, I'm just gonna swap these onto the back. I will be trailering the car there. So these tires have about 1,000 miles on them. So you can tell the difference and how much the rears get abused compared to the fronts, which have the same mileage. Another thing I'm doing is reconfiguring my boost control, which I've already worked on a little bit. So originally, some of you guys might remember when I set my engine up, I had a 4-port electronic boost control solenoid with a dual-port internal wastegate actuator. And I had a lot of problems setting up the boost control. It was just completely inconsistent. It would be really high, really low, oscillating all over the place, open loop, closed loop, didn't matter. So I went back to the traditional style 3-port solenoid and only used 1 port on the actuator. So you throw an 18-pound spring in there and you control the boost at, up to 21, 22 pounds, and it's just easy that way. But that makes it really difficult to get the car off the line because it just wants to run 18 plus PSI all the time. And the car absolutely blazes the tires in first and second, and if I drive it hard enough, it'll spin them in third also. 100 tread wear, 245, big sticky boys, but it just spins them. It just has the power. And I even have the camber dialed out to it's only about -1 or -0.8 in the rear, just for traction. It'd be nice to have something that's gonna help me get down the strip a little bit. And I have no idea what this event's gonna be like. It might be one of those things where I get 2 or 3 passes in 3 hours, or maybe I'll just be able to hot lap the car, I don't know. And that's another reason I wanted to trailer it. I was considering driving it, just because that's something that I would do, is just oh, look how reliable this engine is that I built. Let me just push it to the absolute limit all night and then drive through the desert in the middle of the night. But I did decide to trailer it. It's just going to take a load off my mind, not having to worry about it. And then, I can just beat on it and break it. Who cares? I'll just trailer it back home. Now, the main reason I was in here is to install my brand new Generation 5 TurboSmart IWG75. Now, this is very similar to the one I was running before. They're both dual ports. But as you can see here, this one has a swiveling arm. So this has a couple benefits. Number one, if you're running a custom actuator bracket, this will help compensate for a little bit of angle. And number two, and more importantly to me, the wastegate arm actually follows an arc. It's not a straight path. That rod moves around a little bit. And this is particularly bad on a dual port wastegate actuator because there's a bushing in the bottom of the wastegate actuator that seals. It's not meant to be an airtight seal, but it's meant to hold in as much air as possible. And when that rod can move around too much, you'll wear out that seal, and then air will be escaping out of the bottom of the actuator and it can affect your boost control. So I'm stoked to get this thing installed. And what I thought I was going to do is get crafty and run this thing dual port style without reinstalling my 4-port boost controller. And I just did some brief reading online, and what I really figured out is it doesn't matter if you run this dual port style. It does you no benefit at all. My goal here was to run a very soft wastegate spring but still be able to achieve a high boost level, and the only way to do that is with a 4-port boost controller. Then you can run a 3 PSI spring and run 25 pounds of boost. It doesn't matter. But as long as you have a 3-port boost controller, you can only run up to 2, maybe 2.5 times what your spring pressure is. And you'll see later in the video with the 5-pound spring that I put into this thing, I was not able to achieve my boost target. So in tomorrow's video, I will be changing the spring and taking the car back out again. There is, however, an advantage to running the TurboSmart actuator as opposed to the factory Borg Warner or the factory Garrett or whatever turbo you have. I've run one of these on almost every turbo setup I've had. It offers you better boost control, now especially combined with the EFR. It's got that big wastegate port. The internal actuator can actually control very high boost levels. There's no reason to go to an external gate unless you're running super high boost. But as long as it's set up correctly, this thing will be able to offer you good boost control. And it's so nice to have the tunability to be able to swap out those springs easily. By the way, I hope you don't mind, a little bit of a casual video once in a while. I really want to document prepping for this trip and taking the car with the new engine for the first time to the quarter mile. And there's no way I could produce a bunch of detailed, long form, highly edited videos in 1 week and work my normal job and have the car ready to go to the races. There's just no way I could do it. So yeah, this is what you get. So yeah, what do you say we take the car out and have some fun? Of course, when you go to a new spring, you gotta retune your boost control from scratch. So that's basically what I'm trying to do right now. Headlights go up. I'm also racing against daylight, so I can actually make some kind of video out of this. I'm guessing by the time I get to my infamous street tuning area, it's going to be pretty dark and you guys won't be able to see anything. But you know what? This has to get done. I need to get my boost control somewhat dialed in. The biggest thing I'm concerned with is with the wimpy little 5-pound spring, I will be able to still achieve above 20 pounds of boost. And if I can't, I would much rather find out about it now, because then I can change it to something that will work. It's funny, yesterday, Sunday, when I took the car out to try to make this same video, I was like, oh, it'll be funny to feel how slow the car is on this 5-pound spring. I had my boost controller turned off and I floored it, and because EFR, it instantly hit 25 pounds of boost. Tires were spinning, and it was because I had the lines routed wrong on the boost controller solenoid side. Oh, what's up, Mustang? Trying to get some of this or what? Oh crap, I'm only on 5 pounds of boost. No, please don't race me. Now, I'm not gonna make a whole video right now like how to tune boost control. I know a lot of people have been asking for it, so maybe I'll make that sometime in the future. Right now, I just need to get this thing rolling and get some boost into it. So I'm gonna play with these settings a little bit and then do a couple pulls. Shaking, huh? You ain't got me shaking, boy. Alright, so all I really figured out from that tuning session is, even though it's a dual port setup, a 5-pound spring is still too light and I cannot get to my boost target. I don't know exactly what it was. Oops. I don't know exactly what I was hitting, but I think it was somewhere in the 19 PSI range. And when we're talking about trap speed, every single PSI makes a difference over that run. But I'm glad I'm getting this figured out now, and I'm not trying to swap out a wastegate spring at the track on a 200 million degree engine. So I can just wait till this thing cools off and throw another spring in it and try again tomorrow. Max boost 19.2, and that might have even been a spike, so let's check this out. Yeah, so it's spiking. It's spiking at barely 19. And then as the RPMs climb, it's falling to like 18, 17 pounds. So that's at 95% duty cycle. So I think if I just do maybe a 9-pound spring, it should be able to control it. I don't know.